And let me introduce very quickly to Riaz and Jasjit, a small introduction. So Riaz and Jasjit are here. They were students that we worked with, and the reason that both are here is because they have different set of challenges, and they both overcame these challenges in their own way. So could you just give us the result itself, like what were your scores?
With reading, I got C2. Listening, I got C1. Speaking also, I got C1. And in writing, I got B2 plus.
So that is CLB 7.
Right.
TF Canada we are talking about. Okay. Jasjit gave TCF Canada. He got CLB 7
Yeah.
in TCF Canada.
Yeah, TCF Canada. So this was my first attempt at TCF, and it is quite a different format, but at the end of the day, it is language. It's nothing like completely different from that.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting CLB 7 in all modules and CLB 8 in spoken.
Speaking. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Many congratulations again to Riaz
Thank
and
you.
Jasjit. You deserve
Thank
all
you.
the success because you had the patience, you had perseverance, you had the commitment, and you were two brilliant students to work with. I got a lot of energy when we were working together from you guys. So I'll remember that very fondly. And your experiences, hopefully, they will also inspire these students that are present today. So for Jasjit, he needed very few points, CRS points, because he already had a very good CRS profile. So
Right.
maybe you were targeting B1 or something like that score?
Anything to get like 5 to 7 points. 5
Right.
to 6 points, yeah.
But then I guess by the time you got that score, the draws stopped happening. So the challenge with Jasjit was that he had a different requirement. He did not require CLB 7. So his effort was like that. But then the situation changed because the draws did not happen. So his situation changed. Now he had to recalibrate his strategy and now had to go for CLB 7. Whereas with Riaz, the challenge was different. Riaz was one of the first students that we started working with, and he was fantastic in the first couple of months or 3 months. He's a creator. So he had a project that he had already committed to. It really got him occupied. So initially he thought it's going to be just 1 month of distraction. We kept talking. It eventually became, I don't know, 3-4 months of work and distraction. But the thing that I remember about Riaz is that he kept on attending the program in his own way. He could not keep up with the work because he had a project of his own, but then he was not at the same level as others because a lot of his time went into that. So these were the challenges that Riaz and Jasjit had. How was your journey, if you can recall something? How was your journey with BBarters and how did it help your preparation?
You were the first person I found who could teach me French. When I realized that I wanted to learn French, and that was the only way for me to get my score up, CRS score up, then I found you somewhere on the internet, and then I connected with Kaustubh. Kaustubh's approach is very well calibrated. I'm sure you guys might have experienced it already, as you are on the last session. So grammar was the one thing that really helped. Working with Kaustubh really helped me create that foundation on which I could further up my studies. I think a solid foundation was the main thing that I think helped me a lot later as well to build my vocabulary and grammar. Basically, I didn't have to study grammar again. That I can tell you. I never studied grammar after leaving BBarters class. So whatever I did, that was more than sufficient for me to continue and prepare further.
Jasjit, could you answer the same? How was your journey with BBarters and how did it help in your preparation?
First of all, the main thing that changed for me was that my prospect changed. Like initially, CLB 7 or B2 seemed like something that is out of my grasp. So I was initially focusing on just getting like a few points, but because we were all preparing for CLB 7 and for that certain level, so it prepared me for to go for that type of attempt where I can expect a good score, a better score than that of like 5 to 10 points worth. The thing is that the program, it preps us with all the toolkits and all the answers to why. The thing is that when you are into after the program, you're supposed to go with the immersion and application part, at that time you don't end up asking yourself why is it like that, because you have already learned all that in your course. I didn't have to research anything about why this is supposed to be like that. I had learned each and everything that I'm supposed to use or that I would need in the exam itself.
So what were the major challenges that you could think about in your journey entire, right from the beginning till the time you gave the exam and eventually got the result, and how did you overcome them?
See, basically, challenges, as you already mentioned, was about time. I had my own office work, so to say. I realized that I had to somewhere find a balance. And when I was working with my office work, I just made sure that I was attending your sessions. But then, even if I was attending passively, it was going through my head somewhere. So that really helped. And after the program, again, that is when I decided that I had to put in some serious amount of time, because otherwise another birthday of mine would have come. So I had to decide that I knew that I had about 6 months. I had initially thought that I'll do it in about 6 months. It took me around 8 months to complete.
Though this you're talking about
After the program.
After
the program. So November is when BBarters ended, and July is when I gave the exam. When you are committed, then there won't be any challenges. That's the only thing I can tell you. When you commit to doing something, if you decide, it's just about taking a decision that yes, I want to do this. And for my case, there was no other option, frankly speaking. If I don't get points in French, then my Canada dream is gone. So that was the only thing. So I had to put in the effort, and I decided to put in the effort. I started slowly, and then I could pull it out somehow.
And how many hours were you putting in this period that you spoke about?
Initially 6 to 8 hours per day. I used to put without break, not even on Sundays. Every 7 days a week, 6 to 8 hours I used to put in. I used to sleep in the daytime. I used to work in the night sometimes, but I used to make sure that I put in that much amount of time.
Jarjit, talking about your challenges and how did you overcome them?
On professional front, I manage my dad's business, so I have to be engaged in that as well, because the certain part which I am managing, nobody else can manage on my behalf. So that is settled. And on family front, I have a two-year-old son who was 2 years old when I started the course, and those were the family for challenges for the family front and the professional front, because as most of the students in our batch, they were engaged with their children and they were engaged in their business. So but during the program I used to creep in the hours that were supposed to put in the chase to complete the assignments and do what is needed to ask. At least, like, my focus was to at least at the minimum complete each and every assignment and do what has been asked. So in the chase to do that only, I ended up putting like at least 4 hours each day. And meanwhile, I got COVID infected also, where I lost a month and all that. So initially, as Ria said, when you are in a learning phase, your brain gets saturated, so you can't put in like 7 hours a day. You start up with 2 hours, and then once you are into immersion and application phase, you can put in as many hours. Even if I'm listening to a French radio, that is me putting my hours, right? So during the course, my focus had been to at least minimum complete the assignments and what has been asked to me, and at least try to put some application and get used to what is being taught to me.
Let's have some Q&A. I'm sure that people don't want me to be speaking. So do you have guys any question? You can unmute and ask.
Yeah, thanks, Riaz and Jaspreet. Manoj here. So I think through Kaustub's questions that you answered almost all our doubts. So I'd like to ask Riaz one thing. Since you initially had some work stuff and you started off late, how important was this editor in your preparation?
I did not do it during the program, unfortunately, because I didn't have I was focused on my project at that time. So in December and January, I did Edito A1 and A2. It's really good. They also have that online copy of Edito. if you have bought their physical book, they also give that app within which you can read and listen.
Oh,
So,
cool.
so that is very good for listening. All the audios on Edito are really good for listening practice. So I did like half of B1 Edito I did, and then I stopped doing that. But
That is important, Manoj. He did half of Edito B1. Don't skip that part.
Yeah, I'd like to add to it.
I understand it's tough, and you don't have to do all of it. Do what you like. Edito me, there are some things you will really enjoy listening. For example, listening, you just have to put in the micro headphone in your ears.
We also put earphone in the ear only. Thanks for
Right.
that. Yes, yeah.
Wherever you want. Doesn't matter, right? Forget about my English. So Edito is like a graded thing, so that is really good. Because if you are at A1 and if you are listening to C2, you will not understand anything.
Rashid wants to add something with regards to Edito.
Yeah, so Edito I did as it was given in plan in the program. So I ended up doing B1, although I found B1 a bit above my level at that particular point. But then I again came back to it in March when I was preparing for my April exam. And at that time, I found that about 90% of the stuff I already knew. So I revised the A1 was nothing. So I skipped the A1 in the second time, and I did A2 for the vocabulary, and then B1 for the vocabulary, and then just to go those extra miles, I did first 6 chapters of B2. So that is also good escalation because the books are very well managed in context of increasing level. They are not like you are here, then the books go there. Each chapter of each book is escalated to the next book with context to your level.
Yeah. So, for B1, B2, I don't know if it's a relevant question, but how important is the vocabulary or just grammar cuts it?
What you said, vocabulary depth, she wants to ask.
Actually, vocabulary depth are at two different types. One is appropriate usage of a simple vocabulary. Then there is appropriate usage of a very high level vocabulary. So at this point, I would recommend to go for appropriate usage of even if the vocabulary is simple. Like, do not use simple vocabulary in inappropriate sense. Because in French, the thing is that even though they can be translated to a particular word in English, but they don't mean the same thing. Which you like, a very common thing is connaître and savoir. So these two things, they mean the same, but to use these simple things in the right and appropriate method is what should be the focus. What you can do is make a list of very common topics: environment, politics, and everyday routine and something, and at least get 2 to 4 high level words which you can use very appropriately in the exams. That should be able to boost your score at some point, because the topics are very limited. There are hardly 15 to 20 particular topics which can be molded into different type of questions.
Yeah, so there are categories of topics. Although topics might differ a little bit here and there, but generally it's, let's say,
for initial vocabulary, I think Edito vocabulary is good. The lists of vocabulary is good.
Yeah, first of all, thanks Riaz and Jasjeet for sharing your views and advices to us, and many congratulations on your fabulous result. But when it comes to speaking, the problem that I face is that I try to translate from English to French. And at that point of time, I fumble a lot. So my question is that when you were actually giving the exam, during the exam, were you translating from English to French or your mother tongue to French, or what was that?
You are just starting out. Now you're going to practice. So put in the effort and make mistakes with your instructor. Make mistakes with your tutor, not with your examiner. So practice enough. Give yourself enough time. It takes time to start speaking in the language. It takes time to start thinking in the language. For example, what I used to do is when I used to take shower, I used to say, this is lavabo, this is what, I don't know what is the word for soap. Then after my bath, I used to come and search for it. Something like that. Okay. So when you start thinking, you make mistakes. It's okay to think in English and French initially, but then you over a period of time, it takes time. Nothing. Just start practicing. Write some file. Write 5 lines every day and speak it out.
Jasjeet, how did you, or if you had to overcome this translation while speaking?
As I said, that it is a barrier that has to be overcome with immersion. There is no bypass for that. So as you go ahead, so what I used to do for that is, because I was planning to give TCF. In TCF in spoken, there is a 4.5 minutes monologue, which you are supposed to give without preparation. They give you a topic and you have to speak on it non-stop for 4.5 minutes. So I used to go for biking for 1 hour in the evening, and I used to pick up one topic. And during my bike session, I used to speak up what I would speak up if that particular question came to me in exam. So I was alone. There was traffic all around. Nobody was listening to me. But the thing is that speaking, even though you can think about French, but when you speak, at the end of the day, it's muscle memory. Your words won't come out as you think them to be. So to get practice that, you have to practice speaking loud. Then at night, when I used to sit for some self study, I have a fish tank in my drawing room. I used to talk to my fishes. So like they are my tutor, I am speaking to them, I am giving my exam to my fishes. So it's just that you have to speak up loud for that, because spontaneity you will gain only with this type of practice where you are speaking it up.
Hi, Riaz and Jasjeet. Good to know you. So, for achieving B2 or C1, does it mean like more complex vocab, more language expression and subjunctive, as you mentioned? So, do you recommend like making expressions handy or your own set of vocabs or which you should use?
Yes, I think yes. If you have some go-to vocab, it's always good. And trust me, such vocab will automatically develop within you once you start speaking.
Yeah, but
Okay.
also at the same time, for example, just to collaborate that with Riaz, let's say section B in speaking, where you're convincing a friend to do some activity, right?
Mhm.
You know
Mhm.
that they're going to come up with some excuses. That's the format. They're going to come up with some things. That's why they're not doing. You can say, il est normal que tu aies des réticences. It is normal that you have some apprehensions. Or il est normal que tu aies peur. See, it's a very simple construction of subjunctive. It is normal that you have fear or you are afraid. It is normal that you have some apprehensions. So apart from the immersion, which is key, because immersion shows naturally that you have some vocab. At the same time, you can also balance that with some planned usage of some
Right.
subjunctive
Yeah,
or some kind of
exactly. Yeah, I mean
things.
that.
But if you have something like this, go to stuff to speak when you have nothing coming in your brain, then that's always good.
Yeah, that's key. Sometimes you do freeze. I was shaking for the first 35 seconds of my speaking. Literally, my leg was shaking. I was looking at my leg. So at that time, I relied on my practice and whatever I had done for last 20 days. So I just thought, let it come out. Let's not take risk till the time the leg stops shaking.
I would say don't experiment during your exam.
Yeah,
Whatever
exactly.
experimentation you want to do it beforehand with your practice partner. But I can tell you that examiners are cooperative in general. They
Yeah.
will not they will give you time.
Demotivate you.
Yeah, they will motivate you. They will try to get answers out of you. They will try to help you indirectly.
Also, I think it is helpful that you get enough spoken hours, that when you are in front of the examiner, you are relatively relaxed. Because this time when I went to give my exam, it was a French guy, and he was the pedagogic director. So he was the topmost guy in the Delhi institute is already considered to be very high end level. But still I was at a certain ease, because I knew, okay, I'll make mistakes, and he will know my mistakes, but that doesn't stop me from speaking French with him. So even when I was not supposed to speak in French with him during the start of exam and all, I conversed with him in French only, because I was relatively eased into that
Yeah.
form. Yeah.
So that's a very good point you made, that you, once you enter the exam hall, especially for the speaking part, you do get some French out of your system, so that the nervousness and everything settles down. You get some confidence that, I already spoke some French, the guy understood it, or the woman or the person, and they responded. So you get that confidence boost that I'm able to converse in French, even if it is for just 30, 40 seconds or whatever that period is. And then it helps you settle your nerves a little bit so that you can then go back to your practiced routine of that section A and section B. So we stop here because we had to put time limit. But if you have any questions, feel free to email them to us. just to finish the conversation, what I salute about these two is that they never stopped studying French, and they found some liking towards the language. It's not, I know they were also preparing for immigration just like you, and they also needed the CLB 7 score just like you, but they also found some liking towards French. Like for Riaz, he started reading his kind of novels in French. So that's also key. Sometimes that gets lost. We are so focused on exam, immigration, that we tend to always think about it as a science. You also have to like French and get, like, exam specific preparation, Jasjit, can elevate your level a little bit, like half a level, maybe even worse. Let's say best case scenario, one level. You are at B1.5 and you
prepare you for bad surprises.
Yeah.
So you don't get anything just surprised in your
But these exams are not difficult. Like Riaz, you would agree, right? The questions are not difficult. They are not like out of this world. They're the same questions that they keep on repeating more or less same. So the exams are not tough, but they will find out whether you have the level or not. If you don't have the level in French, or if you haven't done the immersion like Jasjit and Riaz, it will come out one way or another, right? So that aspect you cannot skip and just focus on exam. So do spend some time on that. It's worth it. Again, as I said, I want Riaz and Jasjit to continue studying French, even now that they have got the result and enough CRS benefit. Please keep studying because you have put in a lot of immersive attention to French. So hopefully you will also be using it with your careers and your social life in Canada or wherever you go. All right. With that, we'll just stop here. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you
so much.
once more.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All the best, guys.
All the best
Thank
to you.
you, Riaz. Thanks. Bye.
Merci beaucoup. Adama.